Imagine with me for a moment you had an online following of 200,000 followers. How much income do you think you would be able to generate from those 200,000 followers? 5 grand a month? 10 grand a month? 20 grand? 100 grand a month? How about 0 a month? While this may come as blasphemy to some of you, this is a real life example of someone I worked with not so long ago. Through their field of work and the content they were posting, they had almost, without meaning to, built up a huge organic following. Engagement rate was really high, the likes and the comments would always come through on their posts, but they were doing absolutely nothing to market to these people. And they were running a business for this type of audience, but they had no sort of sale funnel to direct these people towards. And perhaps even worse crime, they had an email list of about 12,000, I think, at the time. And from that, they were generating no income. So I set out to help them in monetizing the audience that they had generated online. And whilst creating that strategy, there was one change in particular that we implemented that seriously supercharged the amount of leads that they were getting through their organic content. And so with that, great. Let's jump into the 5 C's of content creation. So first of all, consistency. Now, consistency comes in many different forms. Some people might think that this is just talking about making sure that you create a schedule and you stick to your schedule, whether that be once a day, 3 times a week, 10 times a day, or 50 times a day, whatever it is that Gary Vaynerchuk says you should be doing. Now, yes, that is important. Make sure you create a schedule and stick to it. People won't like it if they see you suddenly posting loads for 1 month and then not for a couple months and then suddenly back. But more importantly, the algorithms aren't gonna like it. And if that is you and you have a month, 2 months, 3 months where you're posting quite consistency and you're getting good results, chances are if you have an off 3 or 4 months, by the time you come back, even if you're producing the same value and the same type of content that you know is working, you're probably not going to see the same numbers that you were before. So yes, schedule is important, but there are other things that I think are equally as important, such as branding. So with that comes fonts and colors and obviously logos if you're using those as well. Make sure those things are consistent as well. So when people are scrolling through their feeds, oftentimes the username and the photo at the top of a feed can be quite small. But if you're using the same colors and the same fonts, people are going to notice that when they come across it on their feeds, and they're going to want to stop and see what it is you have to say. And I know to use this in the 5 C's of content creation is a bit of a cheat, but the content itself needs to be consistent. And what I mean by that is, don't just keep churning out the same crap. There needs to be a consistent flow to what it is you're talking about. You want to be talking about topics and subjects that are relevant to your industry, of course, but you don't want to be beating a dead horse, to use a rather bizarre turn of phrase. Don't just talk about the exact same thing, just rephrased and repackaged slightly differently over and over again. Find the right topics to talk about within your industry, find the right subtopics to break those down into, and try to make sure you're always touching on a different subtopic when creating your content plan, because you don't want James liking your post one day and then the next day he comes and it's exactly the same thing, and so he's not got any value from that. He's not going to like it. You want it so that when people see your content, it's something new and exciting and valuable to them every single time. So make sure you're keeping consistent with the flow of your content. So the next C is community, and this was a big part in how this original client was able to grow their audience to 200,000, was that what they were posting connected with their community. It was relevant to their community. It was relatable to their community. So let's dive deeper actually into this 5 C's, and we'll go into the 3 R's, which I've literally just made up on the spot. Relevance. Is that how you spell relevance? Uh-oh, blame the dyslexia. Relatability and response. So relevance and relatability, I've just touched on a little bit. We want your audience to resonate. Boom. Why not make it 4? We want your audience to be able to resonate with what it is you're producing. We want it so that it invokes some sort of response, not that type of response. And we want it to entice people into engaging with what it is that you put out. I guess that's basically the same thing as relatability, so I don't know. They're all basically the same thing. Apart from response, what I meant by response is that you are communicating with your community. So responding to comments, maybe taking some of those comments and actually turning those into content themselves. And as you start to build a community, as you start to create conversation within your community, you will find that your community then begins engaging with itself. People start reaching out and supporting the community without you even having to do anything, but you have to build that community to begin with. So 3rd C, clarity. Are you giving your audience a glimpse of some sort of solution? Are you showing your audience some sort of light at the end of the tunnel to whatever problems it is that they are facing that you have the ultimate answer to? Now, this isn't to say that all of your posts should be salesy and always need to be driving and providing value. Depending on what market is you're in, some people like to just see an update of what it is you've been doing the last week. Post something about your holiday or about how your dog, I don't know, shredded up your favorite blanket. That helps with the community building aspect of it because it's There we go, relatable. But in your value posts, you want to be providing an element of clarity, giving them a little bit of value that shows them that the problem that they have, there is a solution to. But again, as I've spoken about before, it's creating intrigue, showing them that wows and not hows. So the fourth C is quality. It counts. So on my notes, I've written here, don't make crap. That's not crap, that's creativity. Why didn't I just, it's only now dawning on me, I could have just used the word creative. But why not demonstrate it rather than say it? So I suppose quite a simple point, but as I have already just said, don't make crap. Don't make content that people actually aren't going to be interested in at all. Tell a good story, show something fascinating, give examples of amazing results and figures and statistics that are relevant to what it is that you do. Don't just post some grainy, low quality photo of a product that it is you're selling with no insight or information into what it actually is or how it's made or any other USPs, relevant details and information about that product. Or similarly, if you're trying to provide value, make sure it actually is value. Don't just sit on going on some rant about how much you hate the Facebook algorithms, how AI is stealing your job. Create content that is good and that people are actually going to like seeing. Last but not least, and this is the one that I mentioned, we made a slight tweak in how we did this in my client's strategy, and that is a CTA. So beforehand with this client, they were making amazing content. It was relatable. It was causing a response from their audience. It was creating some sort of value, creating conversation. And as I say, they were working in the industry that their audience would have been a part of, but at no point were they trying to generate any income from the audience. 200,000 people, and not one of them knew that this person had something to sell to them. So we started adding a CTA. Early on in our time working together, I must admit I didn't pay particular attention to the CTA itself. There was a lot of other things that I was trying to work on. And so there was just click on the website or register your interest or sign up to the newsletter here. Now granted, a simple change like that, just putting more info at this link, did increase web traffic, which is always great, and gave people a bit more of an insight into the fact that this person had something they wanted to sell to their audience, and that would actually be of value to their audience. But what really got the gears going with the CTA was inviting people to initiate the conversation themselves and doing it in platform as well. So with the post, there would often be a key phrase or a key word that we would tell people to at the end of the post, DM me this word if you're interested in X. And as I say, while before having a link in the description helped generate web traffic, it wasn't necessarily bringing in leads. So starting a conversation with people who are directly saying, I have this problem, I want what you've got, they're already 70% of the way to becoming a customer. So if you don't have a CTA at all, flipping put one in there. Otherwise, everything else is effectively irrelevant, and try to include some sort of CTA that is invoking a conversation or putting it on the customer to start the conversation with you. Speaking of CTAs, if you enjoyed this video or found it of any value at all, please do leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be posting way more content like this coming up very soon. I'll also leave a link in my bio to my digital dominance community where we talk about all things digital in the world of business and how you can make more money with more margins and win back more time with your business.